I said, hey, yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Mahados, and we're back with another video. Right now, we saw a crazy close here for Bitcoin, pretty much holding above the 3-week demand zone. This used to be a supply zone, but now it has flipped, and as we are recording, it has now officially become a support. And basically, you can see that because, again, we break above it, retest it, get above it, and then now it became a support over this past week, bouncing off of the lows here. So we will continue to watch as we make higher lows for what BTC is preparing for us next. And again, right now it's very, very clear that we're probably going to continue chopping. And again, this level has been confirmed to be a support. So the next bounce that we see is most likely going to have a bullish, bounce. And ideally speaking, we want to see a healthy chop, which we are seeing here on the daily, right? We're some sort of triangle here. RSI is technically, chopping along here, nothing too crazy, but we're gearing up for another high, and I wouldn't be surprised if we make a new all-time high here or a new local high, in this upcoming week. So again, I'm not really too bullish or bearish on Bitcoin. I don't really care too much about Bitcoin, guys. Now, again, it's important to understand what Bitcoin is doing in the market, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin is the leader in this whole entire realm of cryptocurrency. And whether you like that or not, that's just the name of the game. But again, like when we look at dominance here, this is again stablecoin and stablecoin dominance. What you have to understand as a Bitcoin holder is that there's going to be phases where your altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin. And that's up to you on whether or not you want to rotate in or out. But again, when we look at stable coins, you can clearly see here, when the market is essentially dropping and people are rotating out of stables, right, that pretty much indicates crypto going up. And this is when alt season happened. Again, it was at the same time, we saw this level pretty much run from around 28K to 69K. So it did approximately a 2x. But altcoins did 20x's, 30x's, 100x's, insane amount of jumps, because again, altcoins are smaller in market cap. They require less capital to pretty much pump up. And again, for Bitcoin to do a 2x, it requires a serious amount of cash flow into the market. And so that's something that you got to kind of understand depending on your strategy. And right now, it looks like we're at the same kind of level where we may start chopping here, right? So again, I had some altcoins over here. I'm going to flip that over. But if you look over here, we're currently at a resistance. It kind of looks exactly like the Bitcoin chart, but you can clearly see that we're holding above the 8 EMA. We are basically retesting this resistance right here. And it makes clear and like perfect sense that we're slowing down, because again, for Bitcoin to kind of get above here, there's a lot of resistance, and this is probably the final resistance for total to kind of get back above. And when we look at altcoins even, we're holding above this support here that I believe was a 2-month, or actually, it was a 2-month supply zone. So right now we're trading in between it. We're probably going to break above it and get all the way up to 1.493 trillion, which is going to be freaking crazy, because the next leg up is going to be I don't know, man. It's going to be crazy. So I'm excited for that. And at the same time, as this gets ready to gear to the upside here, we're just going to have to be very patient, because at the same time, while it's slowly moving its way up, it's also a matter of just holding tight and making sure that, on the way up, we monitor Bitcoin, because right now dominance does look like it wants to go up. At the same time, it looks like it's also at resistance. So does it break this high up here, this resistance at 60 RSI? We don't know, but the last 4 times it hit this level, it was rejected. So we'll have to see what happens. But just a note, like something that I see, every single uptrend that you can see here, it's slowing down, right? Like you can see this massive green candle, like a big jump, 2 candles down, and then guess what? It slows back down, bounce off support, and then you don't have that same kind of momentum following this previous move here. In fact, it wasn't as fast either, right? This is 1 month. It kind of just jumps right up. And then this following 2 candles, they definitely go to the upside, but at the same time, they're not as fast. They're not as big as the previous candle, which means that the momentum is slowly shifting. And it makes a lot of sense here to see a breakdown. And again, if we do see this breakdown for Bitcoin, that means that people are going to be making more money in altcoins. And so again, I'm not saying that you should rotate out, but it's something that as a Bitcoin holder, I want to consider, because it's just like, you know, this is the market. This is what's happening. These are the data points that we're looking at. And looking at all this stuff, you got to understand that, you know, you kind of have to, you may have to adjust according to your own strategy. But for most people, just holding is actually the best strategy. So maybe for some of us, we should not be even doing anything or considering any type of movement. So, you know, that's kind of like the name of the game. But I do believe that right now for Bitcoin, if we get back to 65K, that's definitely an area that's going to have a bounce. If we get to 52K, an absolute big buy there. I will be buying a lot of Bitcoin if that happens to fall there. And then even 46K, if that we get like a flash wick, you just never know in these markets. These are all levels. Green is for buying, right? This is the 1 week demand zone. This is 6 month demand zone. And we're floating above the 3 week demand zone. So again, it's just one level at a time here. And my approach for most of this stuff, guys, is if then, right? So basically, if we get down to 65K, then I will be buying. If we get to 52K, I will continue to buy, right? But if that doesn't happen, if Bitcoin just keeps floating at 67K and it goes higher, then so be it. Right, I'm positioned in altcoins for the most part, and this is again not an altcoin video, but as a Bitcoin holder, I'm just looking at the overall like market and looking at everything that's happening across the board, because I understand that, you know, Bitcoin is heavily correlated across multiple assets in the space. Again, a lot of people like to look at ETH BTC, which is actually breaking down. So let's take a quick look at that, because, you know, as long as this is breaking down, I mean, honestly, that's actually a good thing, because Bitcoin is going to continue to outperform Ethereum. But as soon as this reclaim happens and ETH BTC tops, that's actually usually the end of the bull cycle, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. So that's just obviously very good for Bitcoin. And also, when we look at the RSI guys here on the weekly, like this is like very strong momentum. And this just leads me to believe that we're going much higher here. We don't even have bearish divergence yet. So, I mean, this is just all great things that we're watching and seeing across the board. So just no reason to be worried like about what's coming next, right? Like, guys, it's very, very simple. Don't overcomplicate simple things. And again, like I had this chart here. This is the BLX chart. And I was actually thinking that we've already put in 5 waves here, right? And if you guys have not been watching, I thought that this would be some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here, right? So basically, like this looked like to me that we're in some sort of ABC, right? But it may not happen the way I think, right? Maybe this is a running flat. Maybe it's not, right? But it's definitely not a zigzag. So right now, the only other thing it can be is a running flat, right? So we'll have to see what happens. At the same time, we'll have to be patient. But it doesn't really matter to me, right? Like it doesn't matter, because again, Bitcoin is going to continue running to the upside here. And since the ETF has been released, since we've seen all these things pretty much hitting the public markets, there's definitely a lot more interest. There's definitely a lot more institutions who want to get involved. So it's just overall good for the crypto space. Like this is what we want as crypto holders, people who are involved in crypto, because remember, everybody who gets into the space, it just allows them to learn and spread the word and basically allow more market participants, which just gives you more of an opportunity to capitalize, because you're in front of them right now, right? Most of us. So, you know, it's just a game of patience and just, again, waiting it out. And I just want to make this video as simple as possible, guys. I'm not here to overcomplicate it. I mean, I could go crazy with Elliott wave counts, but again, this is just like a very clean 5 waves up, guys. And I don't know how else to put it, but this looks definitely like a 1, 2, and then maybe a 3, a 4, and then a 5. Or maybe we're working on a 3 right now. I mean, there's just so many ways this could play out. But at the same time, I just believe that people who are going to really outperform are the people who are like mostly holding and not over trading. Because if you're over trading, you're most likely going to wreck yourself. And so, again, everybody's strategy is slightly different. But the idea remains green is for buying. And most likely you want to be positioned in altcoins, because, again, this is total 2. This is pretty much an indication of altcoins. And this is very bullish, right? It's more bullish than total, because total's technically getting ready to break out as well. Like they kind of have the same pattern. But in this instance, we're kind of at a level that is like what basically was resistance and is turning into support. The same way that we're watching total battling resistance, that's pretty much going to eventually turn this level into support. But like at the same time, we're seeing that like we do have another level up here that we have to kind of break above, but there's just so much momentum here on total and total two. It's almost undeniable to say that we're not going to be breaking above into new all-time highs, whether that's Bitcoin that carries us up there, whether it's alts. The whole market is absolutely bullish, and honestly, you gotta be crazy to think that we're not going to make new all-time highs. And honestly, I didn't expect it to play out this way, right? And that's just the name of the game. I've still been able to make money. You guys see me on X sharing live setups. We've done very well, pretty much accumulating the low down here in 2022, which has all been documented. That's why I do monthly updates. But right now, the market is going to continue running to the upside, so you kind of want to position yourself accordingly. But hey, listen, we're going to see how this is all going to play out, because each and every day there's some new events, new catalysts, crazy stuff happening across the board. So with that, I appreciate you for making it to the end of the video. Like and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, hodl, hodl, hodl. Peace.